Hi, now we've got some very good news. We've got the rollout of the vaccine starting in our community, and that's why I thought I would make a quick video to explain in a little bit more detail where we are with the vaccine rollout locally. Now, I know that for everyone, this is the most important thing on our minds. It's the way out of the pandemic for all of us, and we must make certain we take every opportunity to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. It's worth saying that nationally, we're a long way ahead of every other country. And I don't know how many of you have been following the data from around the world, but it's quite clear the government have done a fantastic job to ensure that we have enough vaccines. And there are now 3 approved for use. So if you look beyond our borders, you'll see how well we're doing. Now, in our community, there are 3 sites delivering the vaccine, and these are based on primary care networks. And that's groupings of GPs who organise themselves together locally based on geography. If you're registered with one of the 3 GP surgeries in Tonbridge, this is going to be at Tonbridge Baptist Church. It's also going to be the location for those who go to Edenbridge Medical Group or indeed Warder's site in Penshurst, and Hadlow Medical Group, and those who use Woodlands Medical Practice but who live in East Peckham. So all of those people are going to be getting their vaccine from Tonbridge Baptist Church. Now, for anybody who attends the Westmoreland Group practice, whether it be Kings Hill or Westmoreland or the Leybourne site of that practice, then this is all going to be in Leybourne. And it's also going to be in Leybourne for those who are part of the Wateringbury practice and the whole of Fawn Hills. So all of those people will go to the Avicenna Medical Centre, which I'm sure many of you know, in Leybourne. Now, patients registered with either Edenbridge Medical Practice or Brook Green Medical Practice are going to be part of, or rather already are part of, the Sevenoaks Primary Care Network. And the location for these vaccines is the Sevenoaks Medical Practice. Now, the reason that the vaccine is not going to every single individual surgery is primarily because of the storage requirements of the vaccine. When the first vaccine, the Pfizer one, came out, it needed 2 appointments, and, well, it still needs 2 appointments, and was approved only to be stored at extremely cold temperatures at -70 degrees. Ensuring that the vaccine can be stored safely is absolutely essential to making sure it works. And as you can see, -70 is colder than, certainly colder than my freezer. It's colder than every freezer except those specialist ones designed for this. Now, each vaccine box, they're called pizza boxes because of their shape, it has about it has exactly 975 doses. So storing it at such cold temperatures is an extremely difficult logistical exercise. And that means that there is also uncertainty about precisely when and how many boxes will be delivered because they require such careful storage. Now, once a box has been opened, there's only a 3-day window in which it can be administered. This creates the need to get as many appointments done as possible in that 3-day window, of course. Now, since starting the vaccine rollout, we've had the approval of the Oxford or AstraZeneca vaccine and the Moderna one. These don't have the same cold storage requirements, which means that there will be more localized rollouts in the future. However, the vast majority of our GPs are using the Pfizer vaccine at the moment, and there is simply more of that to go around for now. So it'll continue to be the case that our GPs will be administering much of the vaccine because it's going to be in that centralised area. Now, hospitals, including Maidstone and Tunbridge Wells Trust, are conducting their own vaccines of staff, which is well underway. Now, this is separate, and compared to other hospital trusts, ours has been one of the best in the whole country for the rollout to staff and key workers within the NHS. I'm delighted to say that I've written to our hospital trust to congratulate them because they've done so well. Now, there are also roving teams going around in cars to care homes to ensure that residents there are receiving the vaccine. And I understand that that the available doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine are being prioritised to care homes where possible. So the teams don't have to go back twice to the care homes. And again, our GPs are coordinating this in some areas too. Now, the final way in which we might be receiving the vaccine is through the mass vaccination sites. Residents in Edenbridge, and indeed in the whole Edenbridge area, might have received a letter about this, inviting you to one either at the Excel Centre in London or indeed to Epsom Racecourse. But I must emphasise that this is separate from the GP-led rollout, and I'll focus on this in a letter which I will send out. Now, attend one of these if you have been invited and only if you feel comfortable to do so. There'll also be around 8 strategically located large-scale sites in Kent delivering this too over the coming weeks. Now, of course, only 8 sites means we can't expect one in every town. But I've made it very clear to the clinical commissioning group that there's an urgent need to have an accessible West Kent hub for this. Due to its proximity to Sevenoaks and Tonbridge Wells, my personal preference would be as close to Tonbridge as possible. And I know that Tonbridge and Morling Borough Council are also doing everything they can to make sure that a mass vaccination site is located as close to Tonbridge as possible. A few people have also asked why each of the 3 sites are operating at different paces. This is simply down to how quickly each vaccine hub could be set up and making sure that the vaccine could be stored properly and available for use as quickly as possible. And that involves checking the premises first as well. Kent and Medway Clinical Commissioning Group were also keen that those areas which have the worst infection rates were prioritised. And that's exactly what has happened. These are all considerations on top of the fact that scientists, as we speak, are creating more vaccines all the time. So there simply isn't the amount available yet to roll out everywhere at the same pace. But I have to say, we are getting it very early in the country and exceptionally early in the world. Having consistently had higher infection rates than Tonbridge and Sevenoaks primary care networks, and having identified the Avicenna Medical Centre at Leybourne quickly, the Morling end of the constituency became one of the first in the country to start vaccinating. And that's a huge credit to the GPs who made it happen. And along with Tracy Crouch, I'm meeting GPs on Monday morning for an update on progress. I look forward to hearing what they have to say. And I know there are some issues around the use of the neighbouring Leybourne Village Hall as a waiting area, and we'll be talking about that in the meeting. The next to start vaccinating was the Sevenoaks primary care network last week, including Edenbridge and Borough Green. Now, there was a great difficulty in finding a site here, and due to the boundaries of this primary care network, I understand why they prioritised Sevenoaks town, even though it is a long way from Edenbridge and a long way from Borough Green. Either of those sites would have been even further from each other. Now, as you know, the biggest barrier, or as many of you will know, the biggest barrier to this is parking. However, I believe we found a solution. I'm delighted that after a discussion with my friend Laura Trott, who's the MP for Sevenoaks, my office has spoken with South Eastern earlier this week, and Car Park 4 at Sevenoaks Station is now exclusively available for anyone receiving the vaccine, and it's free of charge. When you drive there, head to the end of Moorwood Close and the marshals will take your details and show you where to park and how to get in for your appointment. I'm very grateful to the rail people for that. In Tonbridge, vaccinations are starting, in fact, a few of them have already started, but some of them are starting tomorrow at the Baptist Church. This is extremely welcome, and appointments have been made. Unlike Morling and Sevenoaks, there has been a delay here because it is not being conducted in a medical setting. This means that extra checks around storing the vaccine have to be conducted, as I mentioned earlier. Now, unfortunately, the new medical centre was just a little bit late in finishing construction, and with Tonbridge Medical Group moving in too and continuing regular appointments, it was felt that the Baptist Church offered the ability to ensure as many vaccines were administered as safely and as quickly as possible. Now, with patients from Hildenborough, Hadlow, East Peckham and Paddock Wood, this is a good location. On a bus route with plenty of parking available, but I know that transport to and from the vaccine sites is difficult for our elderly patients. And that's why I want to recommend Castle Cars. Now, I don't normally push businesses, but I have to say Castle Cars has been exceptional for Tonbridge over many, many years and has done above and beyond for many of their customers. Now, this is really impressive. They've agreed not to charge for waiting times while patients receive their vaccine. And so for somebody who's got to go and return, this will offer that element of security and confidence, which I hope they'll draw upon. You can call them on 01732 363 637. I'll say that again. It's 01732 732 363637. Now, to book a car, that's how you get in touch with them, and only do it, please, once your appointment is confirmed. The other big issue, of course, is how to get people who need help from Edenbridge and the surrounding villages like Hever and Cowden all the way to Sevenoaks. The voluntary driver network are a great help to many and do such great work in town, and I know they're on hand to support anyone needing to get to Sevenoaks. Now, I'm regularly in touch with each of the primary care networks, Morling, Tonbridge and Sevenoaks, and I have to say I've spoken to all three of them this week, in fact one of them only a few hours ago, and we're going to have regular meetings over coming days as well. In fact, there should be a meeting on Monday separately with each one, and I've asked the Clinical Commissioning Group to consider a second site in Edenbridge for the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine as a priority, because as we know, travelling to Sevenoaks isn't easy. Now, here, this is going to be a huge priority because it's a large community in Edenbridge and we need it to have its care treated properly. I wanted to touch on the priority list for patients which the government has drawn up. Each site is diligently working down the list to vaccinate as many patients as possible, as quickly as they can. I've had countless requests for certain groups to be prioritised, from teachers, of course, early years staff, funeral staff, waste collection staff, and many more. And of course, they're all right. And there is a case for every single one of them to be prioritised. It'd be great to see more flexibility in the system. And the government has determined that age and health rather than occupation is what should first determine who will receive the vaccine. And while I'll push for this for all these groups and more, I'm determined to make sure we get as many vaccines rolled out as quickly as possible. Now, last of all, I want to emphasise a message that I hope is getting through. Please don't call your GP. Please do not phone them, ask them when your vaccine will be administered. They don't necessarily know themselves, and their switchboards are really busy. Their receptions are really busy. They are trying to get in touch with people right now. As mentioned earlier, it's really hard for them to know in advance when each pizza box of vaccines is going to be received, so appointments only come out in a few days, with a few days' notice. And we have to be patient and wait for our calls. Now, I know that's difficult because we're all very anxious, but I know that people can do it. And as a country, there is a reason for our rollout to have been, the best in the world. We have really put a huge amount of effort into this. And I have to say, we should say enormous thank you to scientists in AstraZeneca, in Pfizer, in many other research places, many other companies, and also to the NHS staff, and I have to say as well, to the volunteers who volunteered to try the vaccine in early stages. We have an enormous number of people to be incredibly grateful for, and I'm personally hugely thankful to all of them. Now, I hope this provides some helpful information on the vaccine rollout. Please do share this video with as many people as possible. Things are moving very quickly at the moment, so I can't promise you that all this information will be up to date if you watch it in a few days' time. It is now Friday evening, so do bear that in mind if you're watching it next week. And I'll try and update it as soon as possible. So please do stay in touch. Most importantly, stay in touch with my website, which many of you will already know is www.tomtugendhat.org. That's my name. Yes, I know it's got a stupid spelling, but I'm sure you can find it. So it's tomtugendhat.org. And do sign up for my newsletter and I'll keep people informed as much as possible. Thank you very much indeed for staying till the end. Thank you very much for everybody's patience and kindness these recent weeks and months. Got a little way to go. This is a very nervous time for everyone, so please do be patient with everyone. Be kind. We will get through this. An enormous thank you to all of the medical teams all over our county who are doing so much. And of course, to all those who are helping out over this emergency, supermarkets, taxi drivers, teachers, waste disposal people, everybody who has done so much. Thank you. I'm enormously grateful. And our county, Kent, has come through this really well. I'm very, very grateful to everybody.